Hey guys, Lachi Punit. Today I'm here with El Prez and we're going to be talking about the Unlimited Blade Works Volume 2 booster that came out quite recently. So for a change of pace, there's only the two of us because we couldn't find anyone in time, and we do have some amount of expertise on a few of the Fate decks between us. But you'll have to excuse us when we start talking about some stuff that is either completely wrong or are missing key information about how the decks will be played out. That being said, I still think we can give a reasonable amount of insight, and that's why we are here in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah, so as per usual, we'll get stuck straight in after I talk very briefly about our rating system. Uh, so the rating system I've linked in the post, but it goes from good to bad, as you'd expect most things with a Spectrum would. Good cards are cards you put in a deck to begin with when you write a deck list. So you put four or three of this card because it's just a really good card. Then we move down to playable cards because this is a game with a really high floor. So a lot of cards are a pretty good filler, but they're nothing more than that, and they'll go in the playable category. These are like cards which we will fill in the rest of our deck list with and not feel terrible about. We've got a niche rating for cards which are their own deck. A lot of the cards that we've given the niche rating to in the past have gone on to be very successful in their own deck. And whenever we give a card the niche rating, it's like saying, watch out for this card. It could be pretty good if you support it enough. But a lot of the time, the card is just, it's garbage that we don't want to call garbage. So you'll have to use your own discretion for that. And lastly, we've got the bad rating, my personal favorite rating, because it means we don't have to talk about the card very much. It is describing cards which are thoroughly outclassed by an existing card, so outclassed in a reasonable 90 to 95% of situations, or a card that is actively working to help you lose the game, as in it does not have enough upside to make up for the apparent downside. Excuse me. And lastly, we've got one more rating, which is what we call the meta rating. This is the draw to the set. So either this is what makes you buy the set as a long-standing player of the series, or uh, it's what someone would most fear about the set when playing against it. I guess that's a really haphazard way to describe it, but that is that's how someone like me who doesn't play a series like this would consider the meta cards something I'd hate to play against, or I'm just sick of seeing played. These don't have to be massive game-changing effects. They can just be little annoying filter things which are too cheap or too efficient, and we'll get to them.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is El Prez. You said a total of 2 words so far because I talk too much, and we can start whenever, I guess.
Yep.
All
So,
right.
the first card is already up. It's Projection Start Shiro.
Yep. This is a 0/0 brainstorm. So it's also a support. So during your turn, the character in the front row middle slot gets 1k, and brainstorm one cost tap two characters. For every climax you flip in the top four, you get to search your deck for a Shiro, Saber, or Rin and add it to hand. So it's a somewhat limited plussing brainstorm.
Yeah,
It's
it's very similar to the one from Attack on Titan, except functionally this should be fine in this deck because generally, if you're playing Fate, one of your back row slots is going to be one of those cards that says "Give everything Clock Encore."
is it
I
in
think
this?
so. The issue is in this context, you're forced into running a lot more sabers than you'd normally want to in a
I
traditional
guess
master deck.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a huge master payoff anymore because there's nothing good to give Clock
Well,
Encore to.
I'm not generally talking about master right now. I'm just generally talking about like Ren Archer being a better master deck than master deck.
I don't even know if Rin Archer would run this card.
It would not because they have the brainstormer that salvages.
No, no, that one doesn't do anything. It salvages weapon traits, which doesn't actually get very much in the
What?
deck.
It grabs all your archers.
You don't run very many archers in that
No, you
deck.
had the spammable brainstorm, I think, right?
Yeah, you run that, and you've got Clock Encore, and you,
Because
uh,
when you have clock encores on everything, like your hand isn't gonna be hurting that bad.
Yeah, you do have
Something else
other.
is gonna be hurting a lot, but like your hand not
Uh,
so much.
you've got other plussing engines in that deck, but I think this deck is just it's the beginnings of and you put this in your Shiro Saber deck that you had before, and now you can put Rin cards in which support everything.
One of the
Alternatively, you can put
oh,
a you can yeah
the
go on.
big thing is Ren Archer is now like way easier to search with this.
I do agree, but the decks that ran Rin Archer, Rider dot deck aside, I don't even know why that deck still runs Rin Archer.
Because it has something better to run at level 3. I don't know.
It's very depressing.
Well, it
But
does
yes,
now. It does now.
yeah. Oh, actually, I'm not sure it does anymore. Rin Archer's really good. Anyway, I don't think any deck except Rider had an issue getting Rin Archer to begin with, because the
The
Unlimited Blade Works
the
booster was good.
the Ren Archer deck would run Vimana at one or two of, which made it very
Hmm.
easy to grab Ren Archer for basically free.
Yeah. No, there are ways to get Rin Archer
And
fairly
then
easily.
in the Shiro Saber deck, because all of your characters are weapon, it's a lot
Mhm.
easier as well. Except for Ren Archer, actually. Ren Archer is Master's Servant, which is really awkward sometimes.
Mm. I think that there's a few cards in this set which make that particularly good. The Master Servant deck, which isn't really themed, but we'll get to that. I still think this Brainstorm is really good in whatever deck runs a fairly critical mass of Shiro, Saber, and Rins.
Well,
So
this
like,
is, I think, the second plussing Brainstormer this set got. So
it's one of a couple.
let's see, because
Uh,
there was no plussing Brainstormers until set 2. Or until UBW 1, because the old
correct.
Brainstormers were like, if you
They're
milled
all
the specific character, put it onto the battlefield kind of shenanigans.
that's technically a plus.
I think there was one that I think there was a plussing one that let you like draw 2, but you had to mill 2 instead. And it's like, oh god.
It was
And
not a
it
good
was
card, no.
spammable, and you paid 2 and milled 2, and if you hit a climax, you got to draw a card or something.
Yeah, no. We got there's one plussing brainstorm in no, there's two plussing brainstorms in Unlimited Blade Works, right? There was a blue one and
Was
uh
there? I think there was a blue draw one and a red
yeah,
salvage
yeah.
one.
Yeah, there was a blue draw one and then the red one, which was Archer, which salvages weapon only.
Yeah,
I'll have to look this up because
I believe that's right.
uh yeah, that's what I think.
So the set was lacking on as a whole, like considering how large Fate is as a set now, was lacking on good plussing brainstormers for like this
Hmm.
particular archetype. So
This one's good.
this one is like going into that deck. Period. I don't know why you wouldn't run it,
Yeah.
unless you really thought, unless you really had just enough weapon cards and you weren't really gonna play with Rins anyways. In which case, then the Archer one might be better.
Yeah. So I personally don't think this is the payoff for going full Shiro Saber in. I think this is just
It's
a
just a good
card
card.
you, a card you put in that deck. Like you can get a lot of good cards with it. You can get your 0/0 supports like the Shiro.
Takatsubo.
You can get the Saber Takatsubo. Yep.
Saber
You can get
Takatsubo, the Shiro Clock Encore Giver.
you can get the 1/1 Rin that puts something on their top deck. You
Oh
can
yeah,
get
yeah.
you can get
Gander
Saber.
Shooter.
Yeah, Saber Musashi. If you're still running the 1/0 Shiro combo, you can get that. You can also get the new Rin 1/0 combo. You can get Rin Archer, and yeah, you can get most of a good like Master deck or a good Shiro Saber theme deck, or even a Saber
Yeah.
Rin theme deck. I've seen people with those around.
One of those. The thing about that deck though is that you're probably less likely to be running the Avenger/Avenger clones, just because you are
Mm,
probably going to be dedicating a solid number of your slots to Saber, which is not on trait.
I guess so, but you don't really need to run the Avenger clones so much anymore. I don't think.
I'm inclined to agree. I think
I, I mean, we're looking at a plussing engine, which is what the Avenger clone used to be, and this one can, in part, make up for that.
yeah. It also this card actually works really well with the Avenger because the Avenger is sitting in your back row anyways, and you can't really do anything with it, so might as well just tap it to plus.
I suppose I'm still not sold on the viability of the Avenger at all, but that's a discussion for some other time.
I think we
So
both
I,
agree that the card is good.
the card is good. I'm specifically not giving this one the meta
I agree. I don't think it's a meta-worthy card
rating
either.
specifically.
All right.
Yeah, which is it's a really good card. Like the 1k is nothing to laugh at either.
Yeah. Moving
So
forward.
3-2 Excalibur Saver. If you have 5 or fewer cards in the library, this becomes level 2 in your hand. For each of your other Shiro, Saber, and Rins in name, this gains 500 power, and it heals when it comes to play.
So this feels like a really crappy version of the Index one.
This feels like a very mediocre version of the set 1 3-2 with okay, so the set 1 3-2 has the exact same text when it comes to 5 or less -1 and healing, but it doesn't get to 11k base and instead has a climax combo with arguably the prettiest climax in the game if you have the SP version.
What's the name of the
But
climax? Because that is relevant.
Golden Farewell, it's
Okay,
not
so
been
that's not
reprinted.
relevant.
No, it's not. That card is also a master trait because it has Shiro on it. But it's also servant trait.
Which is
So
always good.
I would actually argue that card is still better than
I,
this
I,
one.
I think so. Like, I think being Master Trait is super relevant if you are still running the Avenger clone.
I don't know if you want to clock on core level 2 or level 3.
You might not. You probably don't. But, like, it's possible that you are in a position where you have to.
No,
And,
no, the main payoff for running it as a master clone is that you can get it with Akatsuki because
oh,
Ilya
yes,
is
Ilya only grabs
yeah,
Akatsuki's. Or,
Ilya Akatsuki.
Masters.
Yes, so that is the big payoff for running that as opposed to this. But you have better heals regardless.
Yeah, I don't think
I
this is the best healer.
This card is not great, even in like a Saber waifu deck. I don't know if this card is great aside from being signed and a heal.
It's better than the TD healer, I guess.
The Fate Zero TD healer.
Yeah.
Is it though?
Because that's only big on your own turn. And it's, like, still only, like, 11k.
I guess, but didn't that one also have? Oh no, wait, this is definitely better than that.
It was pretty garbage if I remember, like, it properly. Let me double check.
Yeah, no, this is definitely better than that because that is basically.
Yeah, okay, so it's actually just 11k on your own turn. You can only play it at level 3, and it just heals. Like, this is 11k on both turns, and it still heals, and it can be played early. It's like,
I am not that
okay,
enthused with this card regardless. Like its power
that's
is relevant, but not that potent.
that said, that Saber has better traits because she has the royalty trait, and that's like actually a relevant trait when you look at Fate Zero.
Is it though? I don't think royalty's that good because there's like 2 cards that really support it, whereas Servant Weapon is actually supported by quite a few things. The new Top Check Ilya, the Archer Brainstorm can actually get this. Weapon traits have some amount of support in this set as well.
I'm not saying that card is better than this. That card is definitely worse than this. But the royalty can be a factor in making a decision there.
Sure, but I definitely think this is better traits.
This is a better card than
So
that.
this is just a better card than the Fate Zero level 3 healer from the TD. But that aside, I'm still not sure you would run this outside of a dedicated Saber build.
Never mind that Random Archer also heals if you're just running a healer, and
As well as the new Renin Archer also heals.
well, that new Ridden Archer is trying to say you don't need the old Ridden Archer, and we're like, old Ridden Archer is still better.
It is better, but it does. We'll talk about that when it comes. I do think that the new one is worth playing in some decks.
Anyways, I think the card is playable. I don't think it's great.
I
I don't.
agree.
I think by
Playable
early
is
play standard, it's not even like that strong
yeah.
anymore, which is absolutely atrocious. That like the power creep is getting to that point.
It's an 11k heal with a rather irritating condition. This card is not a big enough payoff to make you really want to get 5 or fewer cards in your library and then pay 2 stock to waste compression before you refresh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Whereas
just
something like, yeah, you'd need something on the level of like 3-2 Kanata from LB for that to actually be
I mean,
worthwhile at all.
Index has a very similar profiled card with like almost the exact same text.
I don't I don't read that text on the 3-2 healer index because
It's not
if I'm
relevant.
not if I'm not free freshing, then I'm doing something wrong.
Well, it's possible that you set it up so that you can both heal and free fresh, in which case you feel pretty good about yourself. But
But then I'm losing compression.
well, sometimes I just want to heal and I want to kill things.
No, because by playing the 2-1, you are healing by not taking refresh damage.
But I want to heal twice for 3 stock.
Yeah, you get to do that for 2 stock at level 3 anyway, so just hold on.
Anyways, card is displayable.
Yeah. So don't let the Shiro Saber Rin power text mislead you. That's not actually very relevant. It's just some amount of power on an early summon healer. It's a fine card, but I don't think it meets the standards of going into a deck and actually doing something, because there are plenty of other cards that do something aside from just heal and sometimes come down level 2.
So next up is Unlimited Bladework Shiro. Speaking of a
I,
card that gets reprinted all the freaking time,
I love this card. It's great.
I'm talking about the
Um,
Unlimited Bladeworks Climax, of course.
this one isn't actually Unlimited Blade Works. It's actually Infinite Sword Creation with the Furigana Unlimited Blade Works. There's a distinct difference because in the
This
first set there was
there was
Unlimited
Unlimited
Blade Works
Bladeworks.
and then
These
Infinite Sword Creation. So
these won't combo technically.
they won't combo purely because there's the double apostrophes or those quotation marks, which changed the name from the old one to this one, which is like whatever.
It does
So
mean that you can run 8 Unlimited Bladeworks in your deck.
it does, and that's like the swaggest. The issue is if you want to run a gacha slash Shiro deck, you're going to be running the red stock soul, so that ruins the aesthetic really, really badly. So this card is a 3/2/9/5. When this is placed from hand to stage or via change, you get to draw one card and then it gains 2k power. So this is what we saw on on the new Ultimate Madoka in Rebellion,
Yeah.
and it's pretty good. It's a little underrated because no one plays it, but the ability is pretty good. And then you've got the ability to cost, discard a card from hand to waiting room, and sack another character. When the battle opponent of this is reversed, if Infinite Sword Creation Unlimited Blade Works is in the climax zone, so this
This
set,
set's Unlimited
the,
Bladeworks.
sh- yeah, the shot climax, you get to choose a character in your waiting room whose level is equal to the level of the opponent you just killed, and put it on any slot on stage. And then at the beginning of the encore step, you send that character to memory if it's still there.
So I like this card actually.
It's got sweet
It's
flavor.
it's a very pseudo restander. My issue with the card is that it's only going to be about 12-5 on offense, maybe 14 in the middle slot if you have everything going for you, because I don't think you really run level assists too many times in this deck.
There's a really good assist that changes into this that you probably run,
Well,
but
I guess in that circumstance, sure.
I don't think it's a level assist though. It's a
It might be a
what is
frontal
it?
1K or something.
It's a no, it's a global 500. No. It's a frontal 500, but it's got a much better
Well,
ability that we'll
okay.
talk
I
about.
would hope so.
Yeah.
Um, but that's the pseudo restand is an effect we've seen before. We saw it with whatchamacallit, CG. I think this is a lot better than the one in CG because this one can grab a two soul beater.
I think the CG one's mostly good because it doesn't have any conditions at all.
It
Just
doesn't have
kill
any
something.
conditions. It is just kill something, but the reason why I like this a lot is just because you can push way more damage with this than you can with the CG one. If you do manage to find, for instance, like a weak level 3 or something, you can put like a relevant card onto the field, like a 3/2 something from your waiting room, just to get the two soul beater,
Yeah.
or if you have it, this would be a reason to run 2/2s in your deck, for instance, if your opponent has level 2s or something, or they're playing IMAS.
Yeah. So I don't think this card should be regarded as a super wombo combo. I think it's just one additional attack usually.
Yeah,
Unless your opponent has
unless you're a god and your
three,
opponent
if your
has.
opponent if your opponent has three level threes and you have a very specific combination of cards in hand and in graveyard or in waiting room, then you're not going to get your fabled six attacks. You're just going to get one extra attack.
It's not
But
gonna be
that's
that
fine.
heinous. It's not gonna be as good, for instance, as I guess the Phantom one. I don't know.
I also believe, like what you said earlier about this being able to get two soul beaters, I don't think that's actually relevant here because you're playing a global plus soul climax, so every one soul beater is a two soul beater.
I like 3 soul. 3 soul is 50-50 chance of damage going in.
Well, speaking of three soul, have you read the changer to this card?
Not yet, apparently.
So the changer is a 2/1 support that gives 500 in front,
Sweet.
and
Please tell me it's like
once
the
it
old.
gives it gives one soul to
Oh,
everything in
okay.
front.
Oh, it gives one. It's fronts. Oh, that's like a really old. That's like actually something that Fate used to have back in Fate's day.
Yeah, it only gives it to Shiro, Saber, and Rin. I think that's the actual payoff for having a good
Yeah. Okay. No,
number of
that's
Shiro,
actually
Saber,
like
and Rin.
That makes a big difference because that means you're actually probably just looking to kill level ones or lower, and then just pumping your soul on the other characters.
Yeah, you definitely can. And that's a real
And
strength of
then and now
this,
you
which a
don't
lot of
need
people
any
miss.
level twos because now instead you just grab 1 zeros and you're still swinging for 3 soul, and that's a good number to be swinging for.
If you start killing a level two, I'm sure there are level twos you can run, even if you like put a counter onto the field.
Sure,
Like,
but I mean
yeah, like
it's I think it's battle opponent level or less, right?
no, equal.
Has to be equal.
Has to be equal
Okay, so
because that's the flavor.
then you do probably want to be running a couple of level two characters with this card.
Well, you're running the 2-1 assist, which gives +1
Well, I
soul.
mean, besides that, obviously, like that's gonna be like a two of in your deck, but like you probably want some other level twos. Like this is encouraging you to have level twos in your list where you
No,
otherwise
you
wouldn't
just
have.
run 2-1 like there are level supports, there are counters, there
Yeah,
are things to run.
there
But
are things to run.
you should ideally be killing level ones or level threes with this.
Yep.
So this card, even though we've talked this much about it, it's still only playable because it's
I
so
agree. I
expensive.
still don't think it's better than Rin Archer, but I think Rin Archer is a very unfair comparison for a lot of finishers
Yeah.
in Fate.
This card is just really sweet. It's got great flavor and it's got a like I like shot climaxes.
I like shot climaxes really a lot more when they're behind my Rin Archer.
Yeah, I wish this was draw two, drop one, so you had a better chance to
Hit the climax.
yeah, hit the
I
climax.
think the
But
power
other than
pump
that,
is really relevant though.
I think so, but that's only because it was pretty weak to begin with, which is not very characteristic of a modern double R.
Yeah. Well, that's it for the double rares. Moving on.
Yeah, whatever. So
Whatever.
summoning via Command Seal Shiro or Shiro's Married Life. This is a frontal 500, and when a climax is played to the climax zone, you choose one character, it gets 1k. So it is literally Asuna's Married Life.
It's a
Uh,
playable card then. It's a playable card now. I don't.
yeah, it works good with the Shiro that we just talked
It
about.
works really good with Archer.
Yeah,
Ren
also
Archer.
works. It works with the 1-0 Rin and 1-0 Ilya from this set as well, because
Climax combos.
those are level one climax combos which don't have a lot of power behind them.
Yep.
So yeah, what else can I say? It's a very standard assist that is quite decent, and I give it a playable.
It's a playable card.
Yep.
Next. It's a stock
So
bomb.
it is actually still worse than Kiritsugu, I think, because
Yeah.
Kiritsugu
Kiritsugu
is
has
master
extra
trait.
text.
He's master trait, more importantly, and he's also weapon. Wait, this is also weapon. Yeah, this
This
never
is
mind.
weapon. This is servant weapon. Kiritsugu's master weapon. Kiritsugu can also search up
The vanilla
the
saber.
vanilla saber, which was
That's
pretty relevant when you only had Fate Stay, Fate UBW, or Fate Stay, Fate Zero, and Fate Prism, or
no,
not Prism.
let's rephrase that. It was pretty relevant when you were playing a Fate Zero TD mod.
Or
That is
just
the only
English
time it
Fate
was relevant.
at all prior to last year.
I'm sorry that you ever had to play English Fate.
It was one
Pardon
hell
it.
of a struggle. That said, though, I still think Kiritsugu is better because 1k power is a lot better than 1500 power when you want
I
to have
agree.
a stock bomb.
Yep.
That
So
extra
1K,
text is
yeah,
relevant
the
just
extra
because
text
it
is actually
reduces its power.
so. You said exactly what I was going to say, which is the extra text is absolutely worthless, except for the fact it forces Bushiroad to quote unquote balance it by making it weaker. And by doing that, they made it a better card because now you can run into Hibikis and other anti-heals and ignore their effects.
Yeah, that's probably you. You're probably still running Kiritsugu, even if you're
Yeah.
running the Rinshiro
No, you
Archer.
aren't.
You
You're
don't
not
think
running
so?
it. No, you run the Rin Bomb.
I guess you would want to run the Rin Bomb.
Why would you run the stock bomb?
Well, what if you like really want your Rin Archers to heal?
Like, I don't know. Do you run Ilya, the Akatsuki, and the top checker in the Rin Shiro Arch in the Rin Shiro Saber build? I don't even know anymore.
I think it depends on how much Saber ends up getting into the deck.
Just probably just the Musashi, maybe the 1-0. That's it.
I know, right? So it's like, if there's not a lot of Saber, then I'm more inclined to say, yes, you probably just run Ilya. Anyways, this card
Yeah.
is playable. It's still not as good as Kiritsugu.
I think it's questionable as to whether it's playable, but I did give it the playable rating.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah.
it's still a playable card. It's just like, you have a better option from an older set if you want this exact effect.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so the next card is
Angry
okay.
OG Archer.
So we've reached the point where I feel Bushiroad has completely failed in their mission about Unlimited Blade Works. So Unlimited Blade Works is a set that focused on Archer and it's Shiro routes basically. It's not Rin route, it's Shiro routes.
Yes.
And Gilgamesh was the primary antagonist. He has the most lines here. He wears his swaggiest clothes here, and the big showdown between Shiro and him is in this route.
Yes.
So, what better way to celebrate that than by making all of Gilgamesh's cards absolute shit and putting lots of unnecessary Ryder and Sakura into the set?
Yes.
Because you know they're going to make a Heaven's Feel set. It's going to happen.
Eventually.
I don't understand why they needed to cram all that in now when they could have
By
put
the way,
Gilgamesh
the day
everywhere.
Heaven's Feel comes out is probably the day that Rider.deck becomes broken as fuck.
Yeah, I can see them getting a lot of really good stuff, even though it's already a really good deck. But at the same time, it might be like the Nisekoi 2 EB.
Oh, this
So
is this is almost getting to Nisekoi 2 EV levels for some of the decks. Uh,
no, I don't think this set is as bad as everyone says it is. It doesn't have any huge haymakers, but there is a lot of stuff. It feels a lot
there's
of
some playable stuff. This card is pretty trash.
it's trash because it's just a boring card. It doesn't do anything. It's a 0/0 4K, which when it attacks, you mill two cards. If there are any climax cards there, it gets minus 3K for the turn. So this isn't trash because it's a really good oversize. And it's also repeatable mill 2, which is really good for a lot of decks that want to just rush through to the second refresh.
When your goal is
But
to get out of being climax fucked.
yeah, more or less. But this card is just kind of, it doesn't do anything really. It's a 4K on defense, and it's sometimes a 4K on
I
offense.
think it's just unfortunate that the issue with the card is ultimately that it's servant weapon trait with no relevant names.
It means you can use the Archer
It's
brainstorm to
searchable by Archer Brainstorm, but the fact that
salvage a
it's still not
projectile.
called Archer, it doesn't have Archer in the name somewhere,
Yeah, that is true.
it makes it substantially less playable.
Yeah,
Which
there's a
is
lot
why,
of
like,
foot, but
the best Archer that isn't written Archer is, like, Gilgamesh from Fate Zero, because it's still
yeah,
called Archer.
yeah, definitely. I think this card is very playable. It's a pretty good oversize, but it lacks the traits and names that this set wants to make it a staple.
I
Uh,
agree. The card is playable. I wouldn't play it personally. I think
yeah,
it
I
doesn't
agree.
offer enough to any of the decks to make it worth warranting the space. And I think that's going to be a common trend for almost all the
Yeah,
Gilgameshes in
I
this
agree.
set, just because Gilgamesh is a terrible name to have. All right, moving on to the next card because this card is boring.
Gilgamesh is his own deck, and it's really depressing. So Hefty Power Saber. This card is a little depressing. It's a 1/05K that gains 500 power for each other Shiro, Saber, or Rin in name. And then when this is killed, your opponent may choose a character in your waiting room and put it on top of the library.
But my
Not
compression,
killed, reversed.
but my
Not
compression,
reversed. So
you
this
can.
card is the big one of the big payoffs for going max on Shiro Saber Rin because you'll have like a 7/5/10.
Well, it's 107K base, and then you'll have
Yeah, but
something to buff it.
at least one of your back row will be a support or something like
Yeah,
Shiro's Married Life or whatever.
whatever.
Yeah, this card is very unfortunate because you don't want to run that many Shiro Sabers and Rins at level 0. You really don't want that many because there are so many good utility cards to run.
Four of your slots are going to be fucking illegal.
Like, no. At least 7 slots, I feel.
Are going to be
If,
that Ilya.
yeah, no.
I know there's a new Ilya.
there's a rare Ilya, which is
Yeah,
just really good.
Ilya's really awkward
Yeah,
nowadays.
no, I think Ilya has some of the best level ones, not level ones, has
Level
some of the
zeros.
best, yeah, best level zeros, and one of the best level ones right now. This card is like really sad because you don't get
It's not
to.
going to get any payoff at level one.
It's not like some of the other name-based payoffs, like say, the Little Busters twins payoffs, or any of the Love Live multi-character, singular character payoffs, because this requires you to go heavy on these characters in a set that doesn't want to go heavy on those characters. And it's not like you need a threshold either. It's not like you need, oh, if you have two Shiros or Sabers, then it gets plus 2K.
Well,
That
it
would
would be
make this
plus
card
15 if it was that effect, but yeah. Like I'd still
No,
take
no,
that
no,
ban.
no. It'd be plus 2k because that's the drawback.
No, 'cause I thought
I,
that effect is usually plus 15, and then the
oh no, no,
drawbacks.
you're right.
He would
Yeah,
have she
yeah.
would have another 500 power off the base, so she'd still hit 7k.
You're probably right.
She'd still hit 7k, but she'd be 500 power up on the base, I think.
No, she wouldn't. A 1055 with additional power and a drawback. That doesn't.
Because
That does.
the 500 for every other is it's like a 1500 or a 1k loss, but the plus 15 for two or more others is usually a 500 power loss.
Sure, I guess.
I think.
Regardless, yeah, okay. Say it was like a 1-0 vanilla at worst. That well, like 1-0 vanilla that has a drawback and can get to 7k if you have a threshold. That would make it a lot better.
Yeah,
As it stands, it's like
pretty
it
whatever.
forces you, yeah, it forces you to not have any Ilias or any archers on board, and that's a real pain when you consider some of the best cards in this set, some of the best cards in Fate period.
Well, the best cards in like Fate period don't have Saber in the name.
Yeah,
Ouch.
agreed. I'm not sorry because Saber's a crappy waifu, but uh, yeah,
No,
no,
but
this card's a little unfortunate. It does go into your Saber mono Saber decks and your Saber Shiro decks, but other than that, I don't think it goes into good stuffs.
it's a general trend though. Like most of the Saber cards are pretty garbage.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry.
This card is still quote unquote playable. I
Yeah,
guess
it's playable.
it's just
It
like
is.
it's gonna be a real pain to like not make it fail on you.
It's definitely playable.
I
I
mean, I
definitely
guess at like
think
the
so.
worst case is probably me sitting around 6k with downside, but like that's not
Six
great.
6k of downside's pretty terrible right now.
Like you're gonna die. Moving
It's
on to like my favorite card of yellow so far. Like
oh, Gates of Babylon Gilgamesh.
I think this card is hilarious and I just love
This,
it.
ca- this card is so stupid. It's when this kills its battle opponents, if Gates of Babylon, which is the it's the
Stock
stock
soul.
soul, right?
It's
Yeah,
stock
it's
soul.
the yellow stock soul. If that's in the climax zone, mill two cards, and then for each soul trigger among those cards, deal one damage to your opponent. So if there's two soul triggers among those
You deal
cards, you
one
get to deal one
twice.
damage twice. Or if there's like four soul triggers because you milled two stock souls like a boss, then you deal four damage,
Well,
one at
you
a
deal
time.
one damage four times. I
Yep.
and then it also just has the ability to make himself huge.
Yeah, which he needs because he's freaking pathetic otherwise.
This card is pretty freaking funny. I love it. It's also not very good.
I think it's better than you're giving it credit for,
No,
but
no. When
you're
I
not
say
giving
that's
it
like,
very much
as
credit.
someone who's played like Yami, right, who has the burn one many times because that's a fair effect. It's a heinous effect.
I guess, but well, firstly, you're not guaranteed to mill
That's
any
the
soul triggers
issue.
for this,
One.
and secondly, Uh, 7-5 is a really awkward position where you can't reliably kill level ones, and you definitely can't reliably kill anything bigger. And then discarding a weapon character will only let you reliably kill level ones. So this card has lots of problems. It's really swag.
Hey man, when you mill those two climaxes for game, like
Yeah, no, that will make you feel good, but at the same time, you could just be not
dead.
playing this card and be like
Well, you could also just be
barraging them
playing
with
Rin
Rin
and
and
Archer.
Archer. Yeah, just yeah.
Ultimately,
Uh,
that's gonna be the common trend for Fate finishers. It's just not Rin and Archer.
Yeah, so basically, I think Gates of Baby Oil is a very, it's a niche card at best.
It is a niche card. It's just I love it. It's just so funny.
It is, I don't even know if it's niche. It might be bad, but it, I don't think it's bad. It doesn't
No,
seem
it
like a
can't be
bad
bad.
card.
I mean, like at
Yeah,
worst case, you can try to force a weapon trait deck together and then make this your finisher with Rin and Archer as your other
yeah, like
finisher. Like,
it's, it is,
make it
it
happen.
does not meet any of the criteria for our bad. It's not outclassed by anything in the same set, and it doesn't work you towards losing the game because even if you mill two climaxes, you just ping them four times.
I mean, let's be real,
So.
right? If you're playing the weapon deck, your 8 climaxes are going to be 4 stock souls and 4 2 souls because you're running Rin and Archer at level 3, right? So that means if you mill a
Nah,
climax, you are burning one twice.
nah. If you're running the weapon deck, you're running the 3-2 quote pseudo restander because that deck is actually Gacha Shiro deck.
No, fuck that. You gotta just
There's
run Rin and
no,
Archer.
no,
Rin and
no.
Archer isn't even weapon.
You don't want filthy women in your manly weapon deck. What is this bullshit?
Moving on.
There is no reason to want weapon other than to be as manly as possible.
Dude, but like Bara Rider isn't even weapon.
He's a little girl. He wears anime t-shirts.
Moving on.
Shiro wears shirts from Target and Walmart,
Moving on.
saving money like a boss.
Is there even Target and Walmart in Japan?
Um, whatever. Serious Force Assault Shiro,
Oh god,
218K.
it's one
Oh,
of
see,
these cards.
he's rocking his Walmart car, his Walmart. Oh, I can't think of
T-shirt.
the word. Yeah, his studs. It's a 218K. One. So at the opponent. So I'll. This is a very interesting effect. One cost. When this attacks, if Raw Ass is in the climax zone, you may pay cost. So Raw Ass or Raw Ass or whatever memey name you want to call it is the red stock soul. If you pay that one, put the top X cards of your library under this as marker, and this gains 1.5 power for the turn, where X is the number of weapon or gem traits you have. So the only relevant one there is weapon because you don't run girls in this deck. At the start of your opponent's attack phase, you put all of the markers from underneath this into the waiting room, and for each soul trigger among those cards, the character opposite this gets -1 soul for the turn. So this is one singular effect that doesn't target, but it does give whatever's opposite this -X soul at one point.
There are a lot of issues with this card.
Uh, there are, but I think it's a really cool card.
I'm not saying it's not cool, and I'm not saying it's not funny.
This is one of the best scenes in the anime like this without question. It's just a cool ass scene, and this card is just it's actually a payoff for playing a lot of weapon trait characters.
Your payoff is if it somehow makes it to your opponent's turn, which hopefully you just like swing into a small thing and not die.
2-1-9-5 isn't tiny. Plus, you probably have decent supports.
2195 can still die to a 1/1.
I guess, but you could side it if you had to.
Believe in
Because
the dream. It is level 1, so
you're probably going to win the side attack race if you keep hitting soul triggers.
I mean, +2 soul boys. um,
Yeah.
but
No,
besides that,
Mm.
this effect has a couple of things that make it very awkward in my mind. One, because it is kind of predetermined where the minus soul is going, your opponent can play around that to an extent.
No, I can't. You mean you're not fielding 3 of this?
Well, okay, if you feel 3 of this like a god and spend 6 stock in a turn, go for it.
6 stock?
Well,
Well, you're
5,
generating.
I guess,
You're
plus 3
generating.
back. So
Yeah.
you have to start the turn with 6, but or not 6, with 3, because you'll get the stock soul to immediately start paying for the effect.
Well, yeah, but your back row is going to be 2 of the archer, which is costless. So your opponent's going to do no damage to you whatsoever next turn.
Yes, well, that's the dream.
No, I'm being silly, but this card is it's an interesting one.
It's very
I
niche.
don't think it's great. Like I don't even think it's playable. I think it's niche. But it's a very powerful effect that we've not seen before. My main issue with this card, aside from everything that we've just talked about, is that if you're playing a climax and then like milling that many cards at level 2, either you wasted a crap ton of stock brainstorming.
No, man, you played
because-
what was it? The 2-0 event from OG Fate Zero to just
Oh yeah, you could play demolition, I guess.
shuffle your deck back.
But in the majority of cases, you're going to be basically refreshing after putting all those markers underneath. If you field more than one of this, and then you'll have a climax outside of the deck. So that's anti-compression. Not to mention however many climaxes you just chucked on the Shiro.
You also just gotta be running soul triggers on like all of your climaxes, otherwise like you'll kick yourself even harder than you
Well,
would
that's
have.
fine. You run 4 stock soul, and then you run like. Actually, I don't know what else you would run.
Just run the 2 soul. Just run Rin Archer. You're already running red. Just jam it in there. Like this is the kind of deck we're talking about.
No girls allowed. Yeah, no, this card is niche. It's pretty sweet, but it's only niche, unfortunately.
We're gonna.
I would I would make this deck. Like, it seems really sweet and it seems pretty cheap because you don't need the master base staples.
We're gonna move
Although I
on.
think that, yeah, that's fine.
We're
So
gonna move on from that card. You can try to make it work. I don't think you're gonna get very far with it per se, but the dream is
you
real.
under you underestimate my power.
I don't know. I've
Um,
I've once beaten your power.
uh, yeah, by hitting me for seven.
I know it was a
Parallel
beautiful thing.
parallel ideals, Shiro and Archer. When displaced from stage, choose a character to gain 1/5, so a very uninteresting effect. And when this is placed from hand to stage, you may pay cost. If so, choose a signal of counterattack in your waiting room and return it to hand. So the cost is discarding a card, so it is a filter, but the card you're forced to get back is a 1/1/3/5 counter. It has possibly the best line in all of Fate Stay Night on as its flavor text, which is the only reason I'm talking it up at all. Otherwise, this card is like whatever.
Hmm.
This card is actually all right in the deck that runs the 2/1, like the card we just talked about, because
You probably want to keep your
those
dudes.
yeah cards in those decks generally tend to be kind of weak, and a 3/5 counter is just what they need. This card also helps the card we just talked about get big enough to kill actual things, so it'll go up to like 11k. Long story short, this is mostly a niche card. I can't see myself playing it in any other deck because other decks have better cards to run. But it is a discard outlet. It does get you back a 1/1 a decent enough counter, and the buff is relevant for various reasons.
Yeah, the
Like,
power gain is nice, but otherwise it's like a pretty stock card. I don't. It's not particularly interesting.
oh no, I figured it out. You don't run Rin and Archer. You run the old Unlimited Blade Works 1 Shiro because that combo is trash and therefore will be cheap. And they have soul triggers on the shot
Oh
climax.
my goodness.
It's also a plus.
We're moving on.
We are moving on. So this is actually a good card that we've come to. 0/0 Divine Construct Saber. When this is placed from hand to stage, you mill the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of characters with Shiro, Saber, or Rin in name. And then when this is placed from stage, it gains plus X power, where X is 500 times the number of cards in your clock.
This is actually a good card. Milling is
Yeah,
great,
so
and then if
milling
you
5 is fantastic, yeah.
generally speaking, you're not going to play this first. So if you're, let's say you're on the play, you have at least 2 damage in clock because of your own 2 clocks, probably plus another 3. So it's at least dropping as like a 4/5/0/0
Yeah.
that then just milled you like 3 cards.
I'm not entirely sold on that being relevant. I only play that because you mill 4 or 5, and that's really good because
I
it
mean,
fills up the discard for your win brainstorm, and it just gets you to your next refresh really
as
quickly.
someone who also plays with like the 2 liver animal deck, the effect is pretty great there. It really helps when you're getting completely fucked by your own deck. Having a free way to just mill most of it. Yeah, this card is good.
I played in the Tuleru Animal deck, and that deck is just it's terrible unless you get several of these off because you need to compress and pray.
Actually, the best thing to actually flip over with your 0/0 mill card in that deck is actually like a climax on every one, because you
Yeah,
really don't
that
want to
that way
market those.
that way you get to market everything else. Yeah,
You're already punching yourself and milling everything else anyways between your clock yourself Jinketsu event, and it's like, okay, let's just keep this going. Anyways, this card is playable. I don't think it's great actually. I think the mill effect is really good, but ultimately, I don't think this is like the card you look at and say this is the reason why I'm building Renshiro Saber.
this and another card is why I would build it, but I still don't think this deck is better than the master build. So
I'm giving it only a
yeah,
playable rating.
yeah, sure. All right. Pure White Dress Saber.
This
This
is going
card's
into everyone's waifu deck.
no, it's not. Okay, sure, she's in a wedding dress, but you can't see half her. There's like a guy's shadow on top of her, and well, okay, fine. Kodomine's cool. So, wait, is that Kodomine? I don't actually know. It's probably Caster.
It's probably caster.
It's probably Caster. Yeah, no, this card is bad because there are like 7 different Saber 3/5s which all have no drawback.
Yeah, it's not good.
I have nothing else to say about this. The art isn't even that great. It's one of those pseudo grainy screenshots, and
I'm not even gonna give it a rating. We're just gonna move on.
It is a bad card. That is my rating for it. Best Servant Saver. Ironic that this card gets the Best Servant name because it's kind of retarded. So if you have three or more other Master or Servants, as opposed to Shiro Rin Archer, which is probably what it should
Hey
be.
man, this is an effect that's like on level threes, and it's on a level one. Oh man, I'm just kidding.
Sure.
I'm just kidding.
This gains 1/5 and it cannot be reversed by auto abilities, so it gains an immunity to level 1 bombs, which is kind of cool, except for the fact that it's a 5/5 and it dies to everything anyway.
Yep.
When this attacks, if Excalibur is in the climax zone, so Excalibur is it's the bounce,
It's
and
also a
if
two soul, and it's also like some other shit.
I don't think it is because again quotation marks.
Oh, it has the
Yeah,
extra set of quotations.
it has quotation marks, so you can't use the old +2 soul
That's so
or
sad.
or the old 2k1 soul.
That's
It
actually
had the
really
line
tragic.
in Fate. Hello, I don't know. It wasn't. It was in
It
Fate
was Fate
Zero.
Zero. That's really
Yeah,
actually. Um,
it's not actually that tragic,
I
but
don't know. I
it's
would have loved the two soul here.
it's not a +2 soul. It's not a stock soul. That's what it was. And whatever, because you don't even plus from it, so you're just rushing and getting counter rushed pretty easily.
Yeah.
So when this attacks, excuse me, if Excalibur is in the climax zone, you may charge the top card of your library under this as a marker. And then at the start of your climax phase, so you'll have to have gone an entire turn without this dying. If there is a marker under this, you may choose one of your opponent's level 1 or lower characters. That
You put it
translation
to the
text
top of their
is,
stock, and then
yeah, that
you.
translation text is entirely wrong. But what you do is you choose one of the level 1 or lower characters, push it to stock, and then the bottom card, so the first card in their stock, goes to waiting room. And then this card at Encore phase goes to memory.
So this card is just bad. I can't even say it's niche. It's just a bad card.
I I've been trying feverishly to
No.
figure out
No.
if there's something you can
No.
do with this card,
No.
but I
No.
would rather run just the bounce and
No.
not run and not run anything else about this card
You don't run this card.
because
This card is awful.
it's a 5/5 unbombable that probably marketed other climax
It dies to
that
vanillas.
it doesn't do anything because it just stock kicks some stuff,
Holy crap!
which
It
I'm
dies to some level zeros.
because there's no level 1 or lower character you want to get rid of that didn't already
Kill
kill
this.
you on your turn. I mean, sure, you can have the 3/5 counter that you salvaged from with a card a few cards back,
Okay,
but
okay. So the issue
that's
is you have the 3/5 counter now, right? So like, what cards are you looking to marker? Well, basically like Rider, and Rider is so
uh
big that it doesn't even
nah,
freaking
like
matter.
you you'd be pretty happy to just stock kick like a
Is it front
Kokomi
row only?
or sorry, hello?
Oh no, it's anywhere. You can choose anywhere.
Yeah, you can kick a Kokomi, you can kick a Brainstorm, you can kick a good support, you can kick all sorts of things. But I feel that if you do this,
I don't know
this
how you
card's
can
so
make it live
small.
to the next turn.
Yeah, like it's so small that what you're probably gonna do is you're gonna bounce their front row to get a pseudo Soul Rush. So this is a kind of rushy card, but it requires like 7 different things to go right, and for your opponent to draw badly or have a specific sort of deck. If your opponent is playing cards that can't get over a 5/5 unbomble, then this card is significantly better. But the chance of that happening is just
If the chances that your opponent actually just doesn't run 1/0 vanillas or better,
it's no, you're right. I can't endorse this card. It's
it's
just
bad.
bad. Yep.
Like, for your if your opponent could be a complete fucking shitter, right? They can run only vanillas, and this card is still bad.
Yeah, because they will have 6Ks to your 6Ks, and that's
Doesn't
not
matter.
good.
Just trade. Doesn't matter. They probably run 8+2 souls. Like, who really cares?
More or less. So next card.
Yeah.
Usage Command Seal Shiro. He's a Master Weapon trait, 105k. When another character with Master or Servant attacks, it gains 1k for the turn.
At least it's master trait.
I don't think this card goes anywhere.
I don't think I'd play this.
In the Master deck, you have a plethora of good level
I think I'd
ones.
rather just run the Kodomine from Fate Zero EB.
That's actually a really good point now because blue just got immensely better with this set. So I'd rather run a blue level 1 in Master deck before I run a yellow level 1.
I mean,
I know
Konamine
so.
being a 1065 clock encore is pretty freaking swag.
Yeah, it's pretty average these days, I think, but that's fine.
You know what?
Uh,
That's like pretty average considering those are cards released before these days.
yeah, pretty much. Um, so what I want to say is I'd rather run blue and red level ones
Yeah.
instead in before I play a yellow level one in the only deck that this would go in. I mean, this goes into the swaggy, manly weapon deck,
Oh my god.
and this will obviously make it as a three or four of. But other than that, nah.
No. I can't say it's bad. I can't. It's better than niche. It's a playable card. It's just like I don't see any decks that would actually play this.
Hmm.
That's the
All
way I
right.
see it.
So Fist of Anger, Shiro.
He's angry.
This is the card I was talking about. It's assist. All Shiro, Saber, and Rins in front gain 500 power and 1 soul, so it may as well just be plus 1 soul. And then 1 cost, sack this. At the start of your draw phase, you may pay cost. If you do, choose the 3/2 Unlimited Blade Work Shiro in your waiting room and put it in the slot this was in.
So one is draw phase change, which is great because you actually want to have a turn with this in your back row to kill things, or
More or
rather
less.
push 1 damage.
I'm not even sure I'd want to use the change unless it was the only way I could get the Unlimited Blade Work Shiro.
I mean, if you're
I might
in
rather keep this on the
if you're in a
field.
pretty cool position where you can just kind of like unlimited blade work Shiro and then just put this into your back row with it, like I feel pretty good about that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think this is just a good card. The plus 1 soul is not to be underestimated. It turns all of your 1/0s
I mean,
into actual formidable beaters
it's
in the late
really
game.
good late game actually. Like the best circumstances, like okay, you didn't manage to kill them, but you're not dead yet. How do I win? Well, all of a
Yeah.
sudden these 1/0s and 0/0s are 2 soul beaters, and they'll get me there.
It's not actually relevant, but it does make your 2k 1 soul a lot better. I don't think you run any 2k 1 souls in this deck unless you're running the level 3 Gilgamesh.
Yeah, but that's just because you want to say like no Yami, no.
It's the Shiro Saber Rin deck. This is the payoff because once you have enough level 1s and level 0s with those names on it, they all become 2 soul beaters with this on the field, and that's pretty good.
Yep, this is a good
The
card.
changes those are nice,
I
but it
think
implies that you're running a bunch of stuff.
this is a good card. I'm almost tempted to give it the meta rating. I think I do give it the meta
No, no,
rating.
no. No, no,
Almost.
this is a niche. This is a niche
You
card
think it's
for me
niche?
because, again, you're forced to run the Rin Shiro Saber deck, which is just not a good composition.
I'm like tempted to just run it even just like with just Rin. Like
Really, but that deck wants to be mono yellow really badly. I mean,
you mean
mono
mono
red
red.
really
It
badly.
wants to be
Yeah,
as red as possible, but like
yeah. You
but my
well, it want,
but I want my
that,
archers to side attack for 2 damage.
no, no. You can do that in in
No,
just the Shiro
actually,
Saber Rin deck.
I, I
You can do it in the Shiro Saber Rin deck
I
if you
actually
want.
forgot. There actually is I think an old 2/1 support that gives like level 2 or higher is like plus 1 soul or something like that.
Yeah, but that's garbage because you want to give level one or lower.
No, that's just in
Plus
the
1 soul.
context of making my Red and Archer side for 2.
Oh, sure. Yeah. All right. Fine. Um, I am like you can have your good meta rating if you want. I'm not convinced that
I'm not gonna give it the meta rating. I am gonna give it a good rating though. I think this is a good card.
I am not convinced this card is anything more than niche because the Shiro Saber Rin deck seems like it sucks.
Well, it probably does suck, but doesn't make this card bad, in my mind.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I
I
think
find it hard to say a card is good unless it's also good in context.
I
This card
think
can definitely do work.
I think it's possible that this card just gets you there. I think this card alone could just get you there in a lot of circumstances. I mean,
It's got really good synergy with the card it changes into because
what
you can
was it?
put
What
it in front of
was I'm forgetting her name now. The boat girl.
Junio.
Yeah, fuck Junio. This is
Yeah,
not nearly as good as Junio, but like Junio can get you there. This can get you there too.
Now, Junio got you there because all your cards replace themselves 'cause they're pieces of shit.
Well, you have Clock Conqueror. All of your cards replace themselves by taking 1 damage.
That's, yeah, but see, Junio's cards replace themselves by reducing damage by not leaving open rows.
Unless that card is Akatsuki. Or not Akatsuki,
Inazuma.
Inazumo, which actually does hurt yourself and leave an open road.
Yeah, but that was the last resort. You just want to ram Hibikis in like a faggot.
Moving on.
Yep. So the result of defeat, Gilgamesh. He's got his arm cut off, so he's not very happy.
I wouldn't be
But
very happy either.
no arm, but he still manages to plus all your Gilgameshes and Archers by 500 power.
Bad card?
It's niche.
I don't think it's
I,
a niche.
Because you can pump all the archer cards, and then you
I'm
can make
pretty
the
sure you
archer
have a
shield deck.
global support, right? Already for like weapon or something.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
I'm like fairly confident that you have a global support for weapon.
I'll take your word for it, but that's fine. Slash.
I'm gonna put this as bad. It
I've still got his niche.
more Gilgamesh that no one really cares about anymore because he's just
His
awful.
cards are all ass. Like this one is if there's a yellow climax in the climax zone, gains one soul. Yes, you get to be a faggot and swing for
Three.
three, but whatever.
I'm gonna just update your rating to bad. We're gonna move on.
This one is bad.
Oh, this one's vanilla. We can just leave it on bad. Sweet.
This one is just straight up bad, yeah. Next one, Unlimited Blades Gilgamesh. So, uh, this card is either
Oh wait, I
complete.
just like to go back for a second. The name of the vanilla is Biggest Predator Gilgamesh, so that's kind of rapey.
It's not kind of rapey, it's very rapey. Uh, yeah,
Moving
no.
on.
Unlimited Blades Gilgamesh. It's a 1045. When this attacks, mill the top card of your library. If it's a climax card, all your characters gain plus one soul for the turn.
I think it's still bad,
This has unbelievably good potential to do things no other card in Weiss can.
which is called hitting for 4 at level 1 for free.
Yes, that is
Oh no,
exactly.
no, sorry, it's attack. So like only the last one can hit for 4.
Oh no, I assumed you played a plus two soul, clearly.
Oh well, then I guess everything can swing for 4, 5,
Nah,
and 6. Make the dream come true.
so the obvious well, maybe not obvious, but the comparison I make is to the 1/0s from Persona, and it was one other set which has when this attacks mill, and if it's a climax plus four soul.
Plus forced. What?
Yeah. Have you not been introduced to these cards?
I don't know. I usually when I play level 1 plus 2 soul combos, they're usually really bad.
Yeah. This card is it's a
It's
trap
it's
because
bad.
it presents an incredibly high ceiling, but what it actually is a 1045 Encore that doesn't really do much except mill one card most of the time.
It's bad. It's a bad card. Don't use it.
There's not even any real top checking unless you count on hitting and failing with Climax, at which point you put this in your deck for a fail situation, which is not how you build White
So,
Shorts.
by the way, we have hit the Gilgamesh section of yellow, and that's why I'm just leaving it on bad.
why are they all uncommons and commons? Why do they all suck so much?
All
What is
right.
wrong with
So,
these
so
people?
this next one is a 105k that pay twos on reverse to search for a
Climax.
climax card. This is still bad.
This is
We're
fine.
it's not fine. I'm not gonna pay
This is
2 for
so
that. I'm
fine.
not gonna pay 2. Maybe you run it with Renin Archer just to search that plus 2 soul.
Well, at that point, how are you going to reverse anything?
I don't know.
This card is, it's definitely not bad. It's niche because it's not a replaceable effect, and it's interesting. Like, I don't think putting this in your deck puts you towards losing the game, like a lot of these other Gilgamesh cards do.
I don't think
It,
paying 2 stock is gonna get you anywhere.
well, depending on what you get, like you get a stock soul, and suddenly that's only one stock.
Sort of.
It's pretty good. I think this card is fine. I definitely don't think it's bad.
I think it's a solid trap.
No, I think it's fine. So I'm gonna give it a niche
I'm
rating.
gonna keep it on bad.
Fair enough. So, Unbroken Spirit Shiro.
Oh, do you want me to put you back to bad?
I think you have to because this card is not good. It's a 1165 on the offense. You can discard a weapon from your hand, weapon trait from your hand. When this is front attacked, you can do that. If you do, it gains 2k for the turn. Not only does this not stop it from being bombed, but it's still pathetic on the offense. And 8-5 isn't even that big later on when
9k.
you
It's
like.
plus 2/5.
Is it?
Yeah.
It says plus 2k here,
Well, the
but
translation's wrong. The actual card is a plus 2/5 on it.
Heart of the Card sucks. God damn. Yeah, sure. Okay, so it's a 9k, which doesn't make it much better than an
Well,
8-5,
if
but I
you wanted
guess
to have 1/9ks, do I have the deck for you?
yeah, sure, sure. In the same goddamn series to boot. But this card is no. I would consider running it in the manly weapon deck. But like the
Like,
art isn't even manly.
let's be real. Is there a manlier weapon deck than just running all Fate Zero Archer or Rider?
Yes.
I don't know how you get more manly than that.
Like I said, he wears girly anime shirts.
So,
You also play like crappy waiver cards, and waiver is the least
okay,
manly
Waver is very
character.
unmanly.
He's the least manly character in Fate. Like he's less manly
Sakura?
than than Fate Route Shiro, or he's less manly than most iterations of Saber.
Oh my goodness. We're gonna move on to a 1-1 vanilla, which means I don't have to update my text.
This is actually not a replaceable effect, I don't think. I don't think there's a 1/1 servant weapon vanilla, and the one one that most people run in the Saber deck is the 1/1 that gets +1 soul with resonance. So this is not replaceable,
It's
but
still bad.
I still don't think it's good.
All
Yeah,
right.
so it's bad.
Next up is a 2-1 counter. That's actually a 2-1-3-5 counter.
Only for Shiro Saber and Rin though.
I'm like tempted to say I'd rather just run the 1-1 event counter, but at least this is searchable. And if you do run the 3-2 glorious restander, pseudo restander, this is a level 2 for you to grab sometimes.
No, this card is playable. Like
It's pretty playable.
I don't like that it's not master trait, which is why I think that there are better counters. Like slipped my mind. Never mind. Is there a 2/1 master? Oh, there's the 2/1 promo Rin counter
Is there?
from UPW. Yeah,
Well, then
it's a
there we
box
go.
topper.
This card
Yeah,
is not
so
as good as
that
that.
card is better because you can get it with the master searches. But this one you can get with the brainstorm, so it's not all bad.
Well, you can get that one with the
Uh,
brainstorm too. It's Rin.
yeah. Yeah, I'm saying that this one can be played
Oh yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
the
Sure,
three
sure, sure.
five. That one's just the vanilla 3K. But that one can be gotten with Ilya. But you wouldn't run Ilya in the Shiro Saber Rin deck, I don't think.
It depends on the density of saber.
Well, I guess you might, but
It,
well,
it,
this
it
is a Saber.
well, anyways, we're moving on to another Gilgamesh, which hopefully means I can set it back to bad.
Yo, this one's great. This one's 2/1 8K. At the start of your opponent's attack phase, you may pay the cost. We'll get to the cost in a
I'm
moment.
already getting to setting it to bad. Don't worry.
if so, choose the opponent character. That character gains the ability this cannot deal damage to a player for the turn. This seems pretty good, right? The problem is the cost is 2 cost, discard 2 climax cards from your hand.
Okay, so I actually just updated my rating to question marks as in Bushiroad. How could you do this?
This card is so great. Just imagine
So
yourself sitting.
just think about it, right? So like the last time we did, or not the last time, like one of the earlier set reviews we did like in the last month or so was Doge Days. Where we're talking about how the 2-1 ditched this other event, anti damage was actually unplayable.
Yeah,
This is so much worse.
yeah, yes, it is. But don't you just want to imagine like yourself sitting there, arms crossed, smirking like a faggot, and just saying
I'm gonna be real, right?
"Zashu"
If I'm sitting
over and
on two,
over and
if I'm
over?
sitting on 2 climaxes and I'm playing a Gilgamesh, right? I better damn well hope they're both 2K1s, and I can just ditch them to say no. There are very few
Uh,
times in Weiss where you get to just look at your opponent and say, no, you don't get to do that. And that Archer is one of them. This
yeah,
Archer is not as good as that.
I feel like this card is just worse than the level 3 Archer from
Fate Zero.
Fate Zero, except for the fact that this one can just anti-damage something straight up, whereas that one can't do anything to like a Misakuro
Non-climax combo stuff.
or
Yeah, yeah.
or America or
Well, it can
I
sort of
think
do stuff to Misakuro because you can make it. It still gets pumped by 5,500 power.
I guess, but are you really attacking Gilgamesh with your Misakuro?
I,
Misakuro does not have a level
I'd really
restriction
hope
of
not.
what
I
she
mean,
can
it's still a
reverse.
10k base with heal effects, so like,
Sure, but this card is not completely worthless. It's a niche card.
I'm leaving my rating to question marks.
Stop breaking my rating system. I spent like 10 minutes on it.
It's staying on question marks. I don't even care. This confuses me, and I don't know why it got printed next.
Ultimate slash attack saber. It's a 2/8K. That does not bode well, but the rest of the text is actually pretty good. If projection start Shiro is in your clock, projection start Shiro is the brainstorm. This gains -1 level in your hand. So it becomes a 1/2 8K with Clock Encore.
So I actually like this card.
It's the only Saber with Clock Encore, aside from the other Saber with Clock Encore.
Aside from all of
Uh,
your masters, which will also might maybe have hand card. This card is playable in that deck. It's probably
it's
actually niche,
it is niche because that deck is niche.
but that deck is
Why would you give up like a Akatsuki and good cards?
I because I don't know, shitty waifu deck.
Yeah. This card is also bad in the waifu deck because you have to play Shiro, and Shiro is
Shiro's taking the place of you in your waifu fantasies.
that's terrible.
You
Do
can't.
you buy all your clothes at Walmart?
I'm sure someone does. Next,
Sure. Okay, so this is Signal of Counterattack. The heart of the cards is completely bastardized the flavor text, which is the most important part of this particular card. Choose one of your characters with Master or Servant that gains 3/5 for the turn. So,
it's just an event. It's a very standard 1/1 event counter.
so this is Shiro's badass moment in both like the visual novel and the anime, where he just says the best line in Fate. It's pretty much unbeatable. It's just talking down to fucking Gilgamesh. That dude conquered like 3 continents and had like a harem of however many men, women,
Gilgamesh
and
was
lions. Like,
fictional.
sure, but this Walmart hack is just talking shit at him, and it's the greatest.
You're talking. That's like talking shit to, like, I don't know, Alf, like
Yeah.
the alien from the TV show. Like, what, like what the fuck is it? What is that gonna accomplish?
Yeah, but unlike Gilgamesh, Alf was like a zany, clumsy alien who lived
Okay,
to be comic relief, whereas Gilgamesh is like,
it's like talking shit to the Doctor from Doctor
have,
Who.
have you seen his Cheroplane? Like his Cheroplane is the best thing in
Talking
Fate Zero.
talking shit to Gregory House.
Um, I think Gilgamesh is on a different level of arrogance to those particular
Then
people.
Gregory House.
Yes, I believe so.
I don't know, man.
Well, unlike Gilgamesh, Gregory House never had his arm chopped off because he wasn't so arrogant as to not
He
use
tried
his
to
full
perform
power on.
surgery on his own leg.
Well, when push comes to shove, at least he did it. Whereas Gilgamesh is like, ugh, I don't want to use my not die attack, but oh, I guess my pride gets in the way. And then he gets his arm cut off, and then he says his Ashu a couple times, and
Anyways, this card is playable. We're gonna.
yeah, it's niche. I wouldn't play it in it.
You
Like,
think it's
I wouldn't
niche?
put it. It's only niche. I wouldn't put it in like every deck.
I wouldn't put it in every deck either, but I still think it's playable.
Yeah, I guess. All right. End of
In
ideas.
probably in master deck, if anything.
Yep.
Next,
So next card.
this card I'm gonna put to niche already.
So this would be the manliest card because it just says choose a Shiro character to gain 5k.
But then you see two
But
women in
the
the background.
yeah, there's more than two
Well,
women.
there's
There's
four.
like
There's exactly
uh,
4, unless you count
yeah.
Gilgamesh.
No,
There's 4.
there's Saber,
There's
Rin,
Saber,
Ilya.
Caster, Rin, Ilya. That's it. I see.
Actually,
I see Sasaki
no,
Kojiro. I
never mind.
see.
There's only three. There's only three. There's
What?
only Rin, Ilya, and Caster. Saber is so manly. Wear that dress like she don't give a damn.
Anyways, it's a niche card.
I don't even call this niche. I call this bad.
I think it's
It,
niche.
it would have been niche if there were like
I think it's
no
niche because
women on it.
this is an easy way to get your 3/2 pseudo restanding Shiro to like 17k.
Yeah, but the issue is there are women on this, and the only deck that the 3/2 Shiro goes in is the Gar deck.
Oh my god.
You don't understand.
Like,
There are aesthetics to this thing.
Okay, that is it for yellow. I guess we'll be right back with, I think green is next, right?
For once, it's not the worst color in a booster.
Well, green traditionally has been very good for Fate.
Yeah, we'll see you in a bit.